that in this life you start falling in love with yourself. That's the most beautiful thing. I'm talking about falling in love with yourself like you would fall in love with a person. It's a very similar feeling and it's so magical. I want you all to be able to experience it, to fall in love with yourself. And it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter what you can do, what you cannot do, your skills, if you have a job or not, if you have achieved things or not. Usually when we go on a date and we meet someone, those things matter only in that first conversation where you ask everything about them, but you don't fall in love with that. You don't fall in love with someone saying, oh, I'm an accountant, or you know, just someone looking good. You fall in love because you figure out their complexities. You fall in love because you figure out their different dimensions and you think that's so interesting. Those combinations, and everyone has that, that's actually the thing that you start developing interest for. You start becoming curious about them, about all these layers of their personality, about just the fact that they're so multifaceted. That's what you actually become curious about, and the more you learn about that, it's just like you develop feelings for someone because you think they're such a cool person. Same thing can happen when it comes to you, to yourself. We very often want to place ourselves into a box. We create these rules for ourselves, like rules that don't make sense, you know, where if I'm like this, I can't be like this. Or you don't develop certain sides of your personality. You see that you have an interest in something, but you suddenly become scared of that, so you don't develop that further. So we don't allow ourselves very often to be multifaceted. We don't allow ourselves to have different dimensions to ourselves because, I don't know, maybe somewhere we're scared that we won't understand ourselves or that people are going to judge us. If I take myself as an example, I'm a very deep person. I like to analyze everything, but at the same time very playful and whimsy. I like, I don't know, this, you know. For a long time I didn't allow myself to be that way because I was like, oh, if you want to go like be this like deep analytical person, you can't be playing around with plushies. No one is going to take you serious. I didn't allow myself to explore all of those different dimensions of my personality, and now I started doing that and I started falling in love with myself. It's been so beautiful in a way where I surprise myself every single day. I'm like, oh, you're interested in this. Oh, you like this? I didn't know that about you. That's so cool. So that's kind of how I look at myself right now, and there's so much more to explore, to figure out, and that's only because I'm allowing myself to be an interesting person that has a lot of sides to her personality. I'm allowing myself to pursue acting and to pursue meditation, you know. You can be whoever you want. There are no rules. There are only the rules that we create for ourselves. And those rules are the ones that limit you, that don't allow you to be the true, authentic you that you are. And once you allow yourself to become the authentic you that you are, you're gonna surprise yourself and you're gonna fall in love with yourself. And that's gonna be such an amazing journey, just as amazing as falling in love with another person. Because, I don't know, you're gonna start getting curious about yourself, like, oh, so I like this. I mean, I wonder what else it is that I like. I wonder how I'm gonna react to this. So when you start treating yourself this way, where you just observe who you are, you're patient with yourself, just like you would do at the start of a relationship with someone. Like, you wonder what they're gonna say about this. I wonder what else there is to them. And that's the same with you as well. You just start becoming so curious about yourself and patient with yourself, observing and not judging. Very often we judge how we reacted to things, what we did. When you have those random conversations with people, interactions, and you always think to yourself after a certain interaction, why did I say that? That was so stupid. I shouldn't have said that. But if you instead say, wow, interesting that I decided to do that. So just observe yourself and be like, oh, I guess I decided to say this in that moment. And instead of judging it, just observe it and be curious to be like, oh, I guess I decided to do that, and stop analyzing it too much or whatever. Just observe yourself a little bit. And that's also how you get to know yourself better. Observe which little things give you this little spark, even if it's the tiniest spark in the world. Observe it and then try to move into that direction. Explore who you really are, and not with any pressure, not with any rules, not with anything like I have to know who I am, not out of panic, but out of curiosity. And then you're going to start just falling in love with all those sides to you. And I think that is the key to everything. I'm getting cramp in my foot. I think that's the start of everything. You falling in love with yourself. From that moment, you take care of yourself and you know your value. Your opinion of yourself is the one that's the most important. And once you start falling in love with yourself, you're going to allow other people to fall in love with you, because you like yourself. And you know what? Liking yourself, loving yourself is actually really cool. I'm talking like this, but of course I have days where I don't like myself that much. But now I treat myself differently. I know my value. I know how interesting I am. I know those things about myself, and your life just becomes different because you're never going to allow anyone to treat you poorly ever again. You're not going to allow yourself to treat yourself poorly ever again, because you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. You deserve love. You deserve care. You deserve your own attention. You deserve that you look at yourself with curiosity, that you try to figure out yourself. You know why you're craving validation from others so much? You know why you're craving attention from others so much? Because you want someone to be curious about you. You want someone to figure out those parts of you that you're not allowing yourself to figure out. Why not? If you are curious about yourself, if you allow yourself to explore yourself, to figure out your interests, you are the witness to your life, you're not going to crave that attention anymore from others or that validation, because you know that you'll be able to give that to yourself. And that is the most amazing feeling. I want you to know that. Okay? So I hope that in this life you start falling in love with yourself. That's the most beautiful thing. And from that moment, you're just going to treat yourself with care and love, and you're going to treat yourself well. You're going to treat your inner child well. You're going to be able to show up also loving towards others, become a source of love. Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to talk about. I hope that you start to see how magical it is to get to know yourself, to fall in love with yourself just like you would with another person, and that you take care of yourself and give yourself the attention and love that you deserve. And you should receive that first and foremost from yourself before you would receive it from anyone else. Okay, that's what I want to say. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. You have a wonderful day, a week, and do something nice for yourself this week. Okay.